My guest today on the Crested Butte Home podcast is Pat Rauch, and you may know him as CB Sports Pat because he's been working at CB Sports for a long time, tuning skis and fixing bikes. So we talk about that, and we also talk about his childhood growing up at the Roaring Judy Fish Hatchery near Almont. But we spend the most amount of time talking about his passion, which is shed hunting. And for those of you who don't know, that means you walk around in the woods and you look for deer antlers and you look for elk antlers. And it sounds pretty fun. It's not something I've ever tried, but might have to give it a go someday. So I hope you enjoy the interview, and please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you prefer to listen to your podcasts. And please leave a rating or review too, because I'd love to hear what you think about the show. So let's get on with it. Today on Crested Butte Home, we are with Pat Rauch, and you probably know him from CB Sports, but we are going to talk about a lot of things today. So let's start off with Pat. Tell us who you are, where you grew up, and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, Pat, obviously Pat Rauch, also known as Antler Pat. Yeah, I grew up here in Gunnison Valley, born in Salida, raised at Roaring Judy Fish Hatchery. We all probably know where that is, almost exactly halfway between Gunnison and Crested Butte. Other than that, I've worked here at Crested Butte Sports this will be closing out my 26th year.
Wow.
Starting my 27th year this fall. Started here tuning skis when I was 16. And
been here ever since?
Now I'm well into my 40s, man.
Have you been promised like a pension and a gold watch?
Maybe.
Okay, perfect. So let's get. So what was it like growing up at Roaring Judy Fish Hatchery back then?
When you're a kid, you can always find something to not like about it because you're in the middle of the woods and you're 15 miles either direction from all your friends. But
right.
Now that I look back on it, I wish I could live there right now.
So you probably just ran around the woods and
up and down
the river and did your own thing, right?
Hunting, fishing, mountain biking, believe it or not, there. It was maybe the best place in, obviously, my eyes to be a kid.
Yeah.
Got to run around like a little wild man.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it was. So what's changed in Crested Butte where you can like really put your finger on?
Obviously, people are here now.
Yeah.
And a lot more people. When I was a kid, you could drive literally from Gunnison to Crested Butte without passing 5 cars or seeing 5 cars, and now you can't even make a pass on the highway.
Right.
So that's changed a lot. There's houses all the way from Gunnison to Crested Butte. That's the stuff that you kind of look past if you haven't been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Like Midway Valley, like Crested Butte South is gigantic. There was 5 houses there when I was a kid. Right. Danny Ranch didn't even exist. Now there's all these big giant trophy homes going up on the side of these mountains. Yeah. That stuff is different. But, for the most part, it's the same core people. And
the people have changed, but you're saying it's the same.
It's the same
type of people.
You've got this community that works well for the most part together, and I think our common goal is to live here and have fun.
Yeah,
I don't think any of us are here to make $1 million.
No, thankfully.
And if you are, you might want to.
Yeah, if you are. Well, yeah. Hopefully, you came with $2 million.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah, what's that stupid joke? How do you have $1 million Crested Butte? Start with 2 or 3.
Yeah,
that's probably every mountain town, right?
Yeah, probably. Wow, so you've been here at CB Sports for 26 years. 26.
This will be my 26th year. I started in 1992.
Yeah, wow.
And, like I said, a lot of people might know about Polly O'Brosler, but she was our local cowgirl / ski tuner. Made a huge name for herself in the 80s and the 90s tuning skis, and I actually was very lucky to apprentice under her for the first 5 or 8 years that I, learned a lot of stuff about ski repair. Not necessarily ski tuning, but, we do repair work where people break their stuff and we try to fix it for them.
Right.
You know,
well, that happens,
we do great tunes as well, but we're known here at Crested Butte Sports for we've kind of coined the phrase combat tune.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're good at, you know.
Yeah.
As you know.
Right. Yeah, I like breaking my stuff out on the north.
You might be part of the reason why we made that phrase.
So, I mean, were you guys always doing bikes in the summer back then?
Always
too?
bikes, yeah. You know, back when I first started, we had, I can't remember exactly, but 50, 60 rental bikes, and we were the only bike rental place in Mount Crested Butte.
Yeah.
Obviously, the lifts didn't run as much. We didn't have the world-class bike park in Mount Crested Butte at that point.
Yeah.
But we didn't have much competition, so yeah, we've been doing bikes the whole time.
And that's probably changed a lot more than skis have, huh?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, the whole ski-mo thing is
that's
taking
changed.
it to another. The side country ski thing is
right.
taking it to another level as far as technology and trying to learn
how
to keep up with the ski industry. But yeah, I mean, bikes are out of this world with carbon fiber, and you know, now you've got all these dropper posts and all these different suspension setups and multiple different tire sizes in mountain bikes now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff to try to keep up with as far as the industry.
Disc brakes. That's actually probably one that's easier, I feel like.
Disc brakes are easy now.
Yeah, cantilevers are hard.
You ask
E-brakes are hard.
Well, and ask me about disc brakes 10 years ago, and I'd probably pull my hair out. You know?
Right.
Now that's all we work with. So
right. No,
and yeah, my young guys that work underneath me with the V brakes and stuff, they look at me like, "What is this? Like, are you kidding me? I have to work on this thing and try to make it work."
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, this is what you do.
Yeah.
You know? And they're like,
sometimes all you do is take the spring out and you just kind of like hand bend it, just a hair.
The old school tricks, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on past the skiing and the biking. I know we can talk about that a bunch, but you're also a big-time hunter. So
I'm a hunter.
What's your history with that?
My history is, you know, like I said before, I grew up at Roaring Judy Fish Hatchery. My dad is a biologist for the Colorado Division of Wildlife the whole time I grew up. So I was in the woods hunting and fishing since I could walk, literally since I could walk.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm an avid archery hunter. I try to get out there and get my elk every year with my bow. I'm obviously a rifle hunter as well because I like to go out in the woods as much as I possibly can. And then I don't fish as much anymore as I used to, but my big passion now is shed hunting.
Before we get to the shed hunting, so what, deer and elk, or do you like pheasant and
deer and
everything
elk?
else?
I have a family farm in Nebraska that we go bird hunting out there a lot in the fall. You know, around Thanksgiving, we generally have a family get together, kind of like a reunion. And then, we have, you know, I think it's around 15,000 acres that we can hunt back there, all private. So, we do a lot of bird hunting out there. I don't do that as much because now, with the ski shop being as busy as it is, it kind of takes my Thanksgiving time.
You got to be
and
here.
I just kind of hang out here. But yeah, you know, definitely, I don't hunt deer that often, but elk, I try to get 1 or 2 elk every year.
Why not the deer?
Well, we have a really unique situation in the Gunnison Valley where we have a world-class deer population. And what that means is, like, not only do we have an abundance of deer, but we also have a really good genetic. So it builds trophy quality animals. So they, as well as that, we also live on the cusp of being in the desert. So the deer can migrate down to the desert. They're okay.
Yeah.
But since we're on the verge of being in the desert or in the alpine, sometimes the snow hits the desert hard and the deer are really susceptible to winter kill here.
Right.
Because they don't really they're kind of in train traps, you know. They don't have these vast amounts of flat open desert that they have like in Utah, New Mexico, where they can kind of escape. They kind of get trapped into valleys and stuff. So if it snows 80 inches, say in Gunnison, we lose a huge population of deer. So our deer here are very protected. It's hard to get a hunting tag for deer, and it's a good thing, though.
They really. So, what year was that? It was just a few years ago. Man,
2008
Yeah.
Really decimated our deer population here. And then last year they thought it was going to happen, but they didn't get a huge winter kill.
So it wasn't just quite as bad down in Gunnison versus '08, I guess.
'08 was a bad year because it snowed early and then it got warm and then it snowed again and it got cold. So the snow built up a big layer of crust. And then, the deer have to really break through that stuff. And it's tough, man.
Right.
The elk, they're the hardiest critter ever made. So
they can handle
handle big winters for the most part, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, well, you mentioned it, so let's get into it. Shed hunting. What is shed hunting for people who don't even know? Well,
every year, the deer family, you're talking elk, deer, of all species deer, whitetail, mule deer, blacktail, all that stuff, moose, caribou, all of the deer species lose their antlers every spring or through the winter. And then they regrow them every summer. It's an incredible thing. There's a lot of footage. Like you can go to YouTube and literally watch like an antler growing on a camera, like a deer farm. It's amazing to watch.
Wow.
But the cool thing is the antlers fall off. You can run around out in the woods in the springtime and pick them up, make a little bit of money. It's something I've been doing for 35 years now, and it's I don't know if I want to say taking a turn for the worst because it's still one of my biggest passions. But so many people do it now because you can just walk around in the woods and pick up $20 bills basically and make a lot of money, and it's cash money. And now the Colorado Division of Wildlife this year actually put in a season structure. So everywhere west of I-25, which we know that's most of the state,
right?
You cannot. It's illegal to pick up or collect or stockpile any shed antler before May 1st. So basically, the last 2 months or the 2 weeks I've had off, the last 15 days, I've been walking through the woods.
So you used to go out in April, but you can't anymore.
It used to be in Gunnison Basin, March 15th.
Okay.
Was 2 years ago was the season structure. So, and then next year, they're going to make you buy a license to do it.
Oh, really? You have to buy a license and are there limits on how many sheds you're going to be able to collect then? Or
no. There's a lot of stuff that needs to get ironed out still. It's in its very early stages of having rules and laws set because there are so many people. And, the big controversy right now is, the government, quote unquote. Everybody's like, oh, they're doing it just to make money. And then, my dad is a biologist for the Colorado Division of Wildlife for the last 40 years. And he agrees with both sides. What the Colorado Division of Wildlife says they're using, putting in a season structure to protect wildlife from people getting out there early, chasing them around in the snow when they're really susceptible to winter damage.
Because it's probably the hardest time of them. Like at that point, they're like
skinny.
They've had a
man. If they make it to the spring, they're on their last legs for winters around here are harsh.
Right.
So I get that part. I get Gunnison Basin having a season structure. The whole state of Colorado is ridiculous, in my eyes, obviously.
Because you think there's places that it's not as big of a deal.
There's a lot. I mean, if you go out of Fruta, are you chasing deer through snow?
Right.
If you go down to the Caneos Desert down by New Mexico, there's no snow. It's all desert.
Right.
But
it's all the same date. It's all May 1st throughout the state.
May 1st, everything west of I-25 as of this year.
It's interesting that it's a set date, too, because it's like we said, that a heavy winter, maybe it should be May 15th. And then a year like this, it didn't snow. Maybe it could have been a couple weeks early. It's hard to say, I guess.
And that's what they did in the past. And, the hardcore shed hunters that have problems with the laws, what their argument is the laws were already in place to protect the wildlife from harassment.
Right.
So, like, if you saw a dude running around through the snow chasing deer to make their antlers fall off or whatever they did, then that person was subject to prosecution under the laws that were already in state. So we all know that there's 4 law enforcement agents for the whole Gunnison Basin for the Division of Wildlife, and that's severely not enough.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to cover.
I don't know how to say it exactly, but I
Right.
mean, they don't have a big enough budget. So hopefully, for me, I can see both sides of it.
Right.
I'm an avid shed hunter. I love to go out as early as I can because it gets me away from the ski shop. I can go out, find these places, couple 3, 4, 5 hours from here that are still in Colorado, still close enough for me to drive.
So you can still get your...
Go out, get some exercise, walk around in the woods. Now it's kind of weird because I feel like, everybody kind of knows me as a shed hunter.
Right.
And I drive a fluorescent blue Hummer H3. So I kind of feel like I'm a marked man. So even if I were just to go park somewhere to get a nice hike in, I feel as if, I might have somebody waiting for me when I get to my car to talk to me. And
so how...
It kind of has changed the way I feel about going out in the woods.
How so? Expand on that.
I don't want to, it's legal, to go hiking, mountain biking, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing. If you have a bazooka or a machine gun, it's legal to go shoot those off in the same areas that I go shed hunting.
Right.
But it's not legal for me to go pick up sheds. So,
you could cruise around, find the shed, tag it on your GPS.
Yep.
That's not
and
a problem.
A lot
in
of
which
people
case,
do
you're,
that.
and in that case, you're still scaring away the wildlife anyway.
If you're any of that stuff, snowmobiling, four-wheeling, I think they're trying to iron all that stuff out, though.
Yeah, that's a little bit weird.
It's tough because you have two branches of the government. You have the state government, and they're in control of the animals.
Okay.
Then you have the federal government. They're in control of the land. So you got BLM and Forest Service, and those two branches of the government can't really work together because they're so different. One's federal government, one's state government. The federal government can't shut down recreation.
Right. How,
they can't.
Yeah,
they
how
can't.
Could you?
Especially in a place like Gunnison, where Gunnison County.
Oh, there't be an uproar.
Everything is outdoor recreation, right?
Yeah.
That and Walmart. That's all we got. So, it's a hard thing. I think it's going to take a few years to get ironed out. I hope they continue to work on it.
Yeah.
I don't mind them just saying, hey, look, we're putting in a season structure so we can monitor how many people are going out there. We're going to charge you $40 for a tag so we can make some money.
Sure.
So we can pay some people to go out and bust people that are doing it wrong.
Sure, or provide habitat or something maybe.
All of it.
There's hopefully some things than just busting people.
The negative thing about waiting until May 1st to let everybody is the fawns and the calves, fawns being baby deer, calves being baby elk, they haven't hit the ground yet. So right now, there's a huge wave of people stomping around through fawning and calving ground, picking up antlers, and the deer and elk haven't seen people all year.
Right.
So I think, and that could present a whole different issue to the critters.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Separating fawns and does, and we don't want to go into all that.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's take a quick break. On this episode's Crested Butte Real Estate Minute, I thought it might be appropriate to talk about seasonally accessed properties. So those are properties that you can only access via snowmobile, generally in the winter, such as Irwin and Tin Cup. In the past year, there have only been 17 of those sold, and many of those were also up in Quartz Creek, up above Pitkin. So some things to think about if you're interested in a property like that. One would be financing. It can be difficult to finance these types of cabins. And another would be insurance, because that can be expensive as well. Obviously, the fire department can't just cruise by and put out a fire. So those are some things to think about. And my name is Frank Consella, and my website is crestedbutterealestateagent.com. You can contact me there, and I do have a snowmobile, so I'm always happy to show properties in places like Irwin. So give me a call if that's something you're interested in, and let's get back to the show. On beyond some of these new regulations, so what is it that you like so much about shed hunting?
I set a goal for myself every year. I like being in the woods more than anything.
Like just walking around,
just being in the woods, away from people, with the critters, we live in one of the most amazing places in the whole world as far as having public access to land that we can stomp around on.
Yeah.
And I like that more than everything. I like it more than skiing. I like it more than mountain biking. Just being myself with my backpack in the woods.
Just getting some alone time, some
So that's the number one thing. Yeah, exactly. That being said, it's nice to walk around in the woods. And, shed hunting around here only lasts for a month or two because they get picked up and the grass grows tall and you can't find them as easy.
Okay.
So I can make enough money in a month to, pay all my bills and then have $1,000 or $2,000 in my pocket to go buy.
Yeah, that's crazy. So what? You pay by the pound, or are they paid by
the pound and by the grade?
So they do
obviously when the antlers fall off their head, they're polished up and beautiful brown with ivory tips. And that's what the most people are sought after. The brown antler. It's worth up to $14 a pound.
Wow. And what if you found one that was a year old or something?
A year old, that's called white. Hard white is what the grade is called there, and that could be $7 to $10 a pound.
Okay.
And then they go all the way down to what's called chalk. Chalk is when you literally find the one that's falling apart in your hand.
Oh yeah.
Believe it or not, some dude will pay you $3-4 a pound for those things.
I think they grind them up and sell it to
sniff them or something.
Aphrodisiac in China or something.
Yeah, maybe not that, but
okay.
That comes from the antler that's still in its
velvet. Yeah,
form.
Okay.
And that's obviously before the thing had solidified on its head. It still has blood in it, and I'd say probably 99 to 100% of that stuff's from a farming situation,
right?
Because
unfortunately some poaching too, but
you can't run around out in the woods and harvest velvet antlers because they're still hooked onto the thing's head, running around through the woods in July, and August,
right?
But it's a pretty amazing thing because let's just say elk, for instance, will lose their antlers. The big dudes will start losing them in late February, early March.
Okay.
And there's a month or so where they just kind of run around with nothing on their head. But after that month, they start growing. And by the literally second week of August, they're done growing. So you get an elk with giant 8 points on either side. That thing grows just as fast as the one that's only got 4 points on either side.
Wow.
And,
how do they, how do the shapes form? The different
genetics and nutrition.
Okay.
Obviously if they have poor nutrition and poor genetics, it's just like anything else. They're probably going to have a skinny little body and skinny little antlers.
Okay.
And then age class, we live in an area that gets hunted a lot.
Yeah.
So we don't get these giant animals like they do in New Mexico or Arizona or Utah. We do have a few areas in our state that are highly protected from hunting. They only allow, up to 20 hunters in a certain spot, which is extremely low.
Right.
And then those animals can get to that 6 to 10-year-old age class to develop a big set of antlers. Obviously, if you think about it, when you're a baby elk, most of your calcium in your body goes to bone development. And then as you get older, the antlers grow bigger because you need less of that calcium to develop bone structure.
You're not growing anymore, right?
So once an elk gets to 4.5 to 5.5 to 6.5 years old, they don't need any more calcium for bone development.
It's all going into their antlers.
all goes into the antlers. So when you see a 5.5-year-old elk, probably has a big, fairly nice size 6x6, 6 being points on either side, rack, pretty. And then as they go older and older, they can get more points or just heavier mass with longer points.
Yeah.
Generally your mature elk has a 6-point rack on either side.
So with the antlers being somewhat genetically based, if there's an elk that has a weird, super distinctive rack one year, it's going to have the same distinctive one next year.
And you can go to my Instagram page, Antler Pat, and see where I've picked up the same antlers from the same animal year after year. And the cool thing is this year, early in the spring, the antler structure or the season structure hadn't been enforced until March 1st. So I cruised down to the desert and was able to do some pretty good shed hunting and found a really cool fresh brown set of antlers off this deer. And that morning, I actually found one of his sides from the year before that was almost identical.
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's white, obviously, and the other ones are brown. But it's like 100% you can fully tell. And then this last weekend, I just picked up a set of antlers off of a bull that I found last year. And then the coolest one, the biggest example is Frank Claus that works here. He goes on Instagram under Gathering Sheds. He's my shed hunting buddy.
Yeah.
I picked up this huge 7-point elk antler last year, and he found both sides.
Of the same animal?
Of the same animal. And it's like so obvious it's the same critter. But, dude, those antlers are so impressive. It's a big, giant 7x8 this year. Palmated, huge mass. They probably weigh 12 pounds apiece.
Wow. So when you find something like that, would you ever mount one of those up? Or
yeah, we do. I mean, there's a company called Mountain Bikes where they just make like this big plastic white elk head, and you can
just put them
screw
on
the antlers. It's kind of a trick to get them just right, but once you get good at it, you can do. It's like European mount. So basically, what that is like no fur or anything. It's just like a skull.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer those mounts myself. But
yeah, they're a little
over
less...
like the weird big head mount thing.
His tongue hanging out or something.
I got a small apartment, man. You know what I mean? Like right now, I can't even walk through my apartment because I got so many antlers in there.
Yeah.
Like,
so what? So these ones that you're selling, what usually happens with those antlers then? Anyway, we didn't.
The biggest part of the industry is dog chews.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I sell them to a place called Trader's Rendezvous in Gunnison.
Yeah.
Great family owned. That place has been here forever.
I've heard it's a trip to walk in there.
It's a trip, dude. He's got maybe the largest collection of trophy-sized mule deer maybe on the planet. So if you're an antler geek, it's pretty cool to walk in there. That being said, most antlers get cut and sold as dog chews. And then, you can go to like Dogs R Us in Detroit, Michigan and find a chunk of elk antler for $25.
That came from Gunnison County.
Maybe, or whoever.
Maybe, yeah.
I might have found the stupid thing.
Right.
But yeah, they get spread all over, I think, the world as dog chews. And then all the, the bases and the tips all get cut off and polished. And then they're sold for like jewelry or buttons or...
Right.
So... Right. But yeah, most of them are dog chews now.
Or chandeliers. You see
that stuff...
Sometimes.
That stuff, it's only your highest grade antlers.
Okay.
Big money for that stuff.
Gotcha.
If you're building a giant home in Jackson,
right?
You probably Jackson Hole. You probably have an elk chandelier, or something.
So, how about a moose antler? You ever found any? I
found some moose horns. Around here they're pretty rare.
They are, but that's one thing over the last 20 years, at least in my experience. Our
moose population is growing fast.
It's cool to see.
One thing is moose don't winter in the same area as the elk and deer. They don't even care about.
So you have to go to a totally different.
Dude, like you go to the top of the mountain, like the same place they're hanging out in August, and they just hang out there all the time. I've heard like now that we have all these moose,
right?
Some of my backcountry ski buddies, like yourself or whoever,
right?
Like I think it was Caleb Weinberg from Rauch Ski Factory. He came in last year and he goes, "Dude, I found the craziest trail. It must have been like an alien or some kind of weird animal that walked out of the woods. I was backcountry skiing and it left." And I was like, "Dude, that was a moose."
Yeah, I'm sure.
And the light bulb went off in his head and he's like, "Holy crap, that was a moose, dude."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. They lose their antlers a lot, maybe even around in January. So
earlier, A
lot of people find them when they're fishing.
Yeah, I mean that's what I
creek
mean,
fishing.
I feel like they're in the willows a lot of the time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that we don't have tons of moose here.
Yeah,
and so I think a lot of people will maybe know where the moose are hanging out. They know that the antlers maybe drop in January.
Right.
They know that it's not illegal to go snowmobiling in that spot.
So
they can just go rip around.
So they just go find them then.
Yeah. I found some pretty good ones, but not very many.
So you shed hunters, like you and Frank, you're like Maverick and Goose. Like you could probably tell me where you found your sheds, but then you have to kill me and you might actually meet it. So like what, if you get like if I wanted to go see it, like I assume they're dropping them pretty low. Like they go down valley as best they can, right?
Dude, you're getting into tricky questions.
I know. All right, what can you say? Or don't say anything if you don't want to.
I mean, if you want to go shed hunting without trying to sound like a jerk or whatever,
that's fair.
Protect my little business, you know what I mean? I've been doing it for 35 years.
Right. And you're a hunter too, so you kind of have these animals like a little...
And you can go online and go to the Colorado Division of Wildlife or Colorado Parks and Wildlife or whatever. They just changed their name.
Yeah.
You can find migration routes.
Really, they'll like almost...
All of that stuff is all online.
Uh-huh.
You can drive around in February and go find where the critters are hanging out.
Uh-huh.
And then you go, once May 1st comes around, you go
cruise around.
Literally right now on my pedometer, I've got 375 miles on my hiking boots since May 15th. So
awesome.
My goal was 600 this year by June 1st, and I am not going to get that. But yeah, and then you have to be willing to get ticks all over you.
I was just going to say, if you want to tell people not to go do this, we were just talking earlier. And how many ticks the other day?
Man, they're bad this year. I probably had... see 50 to a couple hundred every day
in one hike.
Yeah, in one day I'll see.
I've never
between 50 and a couple hundred.
Like I grew up in Colorado too, and I've seen like 5 on my body. Ever.
Yeah, well, most people rip around on the trails on their mountain bike.
Yeah,
or they hike on trails with their feet. When you're shed hunting, the last place you probably want to be is on the trail. So you're out stomping around where the animals were hanging out. So the animals are the ones that carry the ticks. You know, you think about a tick and it sucks all your blood out of your neck or whatever, and then it gets all fat and it drops off and has a million babies. And then I go walking by where that thing dropped off and 15 babies land on my leg at the same time.
Well, and they're probably waiting for deer and elk to walk by, so they're in the same spots that you're trying to get to.
Dude, and it's rough. You can literally, like when you get into a bad spot where there's a lot of ticks, if you get down close and you look at the grass, you can see them hanging on the edge of the grass. Like
they just have their like...
They like have this little pounce. They get their
totally,
they're
like a cat or something.
And they jump. They jump at you.
Yeah.
Yikes. That being said, I've had, I don't know how many ticks, obviously, this year. I've only had one that actually kind of tried to bite me.
Right. I mean, if you see them quick, you just knock
a lot of people are like, do you stay out there? Do you camp? I'm like, hell no. I go right home immediately and take 15 showers. Hang my clothes outside. And if I catch a tick, that thing dies a fiery death.
Right. Totally. Ugh, gnarly.
Yeah. Go shed hunting. I dare you.
I know. See, I brought it back to you. Don't do that.
If you like walking,
it's no fun
miles.
at all.
Oh, and this is another thing. I bought a really cool pair of Solomon hiking boots this year, and they are 100% absolutely destroyed already.
Oh, wow.
So, a nice $300-400 pair of hiking boots, you need one of those a year.
Yeah.
You need a $200 or $300 backpack about once every couple of years because you actually break them.
Right, because you're strapping these weird
Frank and
things.
I both weighed our packs the other day at 80 pounds.
When you were all said and done.
Yeah, like walking out. I mean, yeah. We all know what an 80-pound backpack feels like. It's plenty.
Not many times.
Plenty.
Backcountry skiing pack is heavy if it's 30.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. So Crested Butte is home for you. Why do you choose to call Crested Butte home?
I think it's fairly obvious for me. It's where all my friends are. It's where I was born and raised. It's where my job is. I love this place. I love all the people.
Yeah.
I got a lot of people that really enjoy what I and my little shop here, the Crested Butte Sports, we have a big following in this community. And
you guys do.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's good. See the same people back every year.
Year after year.
Year after year.
I don't know how long I've been coming here. It's been a while.
Dude, what have I been tuning your skis for at least 15 years, right?
Probably since I got here.
Since your skis were new.
Back in the 90s. Yeah, totally.
Is it too late to talk about Rossi Axioms?
Yes, my Rossi Axioms were probably only a couple years old when I first moved here, but I didn't have them then.
I think I worked on 2 pair of those this year for you.
Yeah, probably.
No, it's all good.
Do you have a
pair in wrapper still?
Oh, God, I wish. Does anyone have a pair of Rosinal Axioms? I need them. They're only 25 years old now.
Yeah,
anyway,
call Pat at CB Sports. We could make money off of Frank.
Totally. I'm sure there's some somewhere. So you mentioned it before, but where can people learn more about you? You mentioned your Instagram, which is...
Antler_Pat.
There you go.
I'm also email antlerpad@gmail.com.
Yeah. Or you're here.
You can find me at Crested Butte Sports.
You're here at CB Sports
at least 99% of the year, unless it's shed hunting season or
then you're not here.
Hunting season. I like to get out there, but
anything I should have asked I didn't because I don't know that much about shed hunting.
Man, you asked way too much about shed hunting. Dude.
Sorry.
Could you ask me about?
You just doubled how many people are going to be out there, except for the ticks thing. Let's just cut it back in half.
Let's talk about ski tuning or something.
Nah, maybe another time.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's man. I think we did some damage.
Yeah. One last question: who else should I interview about anything, whatever? Crested Butte, Gunnison, whatever.
Do you want like a history lesson or somebody cool or
all the above?
Polio Brossler.
Yeah, there you go. You mentioned her earlier.
So she's the kind of gal that she was born and raised here at Alma as well. Back, 10, 15, 20 years before me. Her folks were the Craners, the Craner Hill ski area.
Yeah.
The whole Almont was her dad's guest ranch or what do you call it? And then Taylor Park, they owned that as well, the trading post.
Oh, wow.
Plus, Dave O'Brossler, Polly's husband, was the head of lift maintenance for Crested Butte Mountain Resort for 40 years. Polly worked on lift maintenance for 20 years and then ran the repair shop here for at least 10. I mean, she writes, she's well read.
Yeah, no, I've definitely seen her name around.
Politician.
Seen her here and there.
She's cool.
Right on. I will definitely do that.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Pat.
Killer, Frank.
All right.
Thanks for talking.
Yeah.